This evening, we discuss the queer headlines. Stonewall Museum hosts Brian McNaught in a live conversation exploring how faith and LGBTQ plus identity can coexist, empower healing, and promote equality.
71 transgender individuals lost to violence were remembered at the Pride Center event in Wilton Manors. We have a special report by John Hayden.
Executive Director Mark B. Kent will retire in December 2026. He transformed the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida into a major, financially strong LGBTQ plus arts organization.
A renowned transgender creator, Gerlalala, was killed in Florida, prompting nationwide grief, calls for justice, and renewed alarm over violence against trans women.
After a far-right party claimed victory over woke policies, New Zealand banned youth puberty blockers based on limited evidence.
All this important LGBTQ plus news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 11 million views. We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our Rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ plus world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Monday, November 24th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community.
Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community. We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Kevin Lee. He's a 3-time #1 best-selling author, transformational speaker, and intuitive life coach. This native Texan is on a mission to help you find the purpose, spiritual fulfillment, and true happiness. Kevin Lee, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jonathan. Listen, I'm here and I'm queer and I'm ready to have a gay old time.
Well, listen, I think I should need some coaching myself. Can you pass that over a little bit?
You got it going on. I see what's going on.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's welcome anchor Edward Otto Zielke, an accomplished brand influencer and marketing leader with a dynamic background in financial services and travel marketing. Edward currently serves as the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. He also serves on the Gala Courses Communications Committee. That's a mouthful. Edward, GMCSF brings holiday magic to Hard Rock. Tell me what's happening out.
Thanks, JC. The Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is lighting up the season with festive performances across 2 major holiday events. Beginning November 29th At Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Hollywood transforms itself into the Hard Rock for the holidays, a glowing winter wonderland where GMCSF carolers perform nightly at 6:30, filling the 24-acre Guitar Hotel promenade with classic holiday cheer. Then on December 9th at 8 p.m., the chorus takes the stage for our holiday sleigh ride and high-energy concert celebrating the joy, humor, and sparkle of the season. Don't miss the magic. Get tickets for Hard Rock the Holidays and Holiday Sleigh Ride at gmcsf.org. We're so excited. This is going to be such an incredible couple of weeks for us. You know, we're going into the holiday season. It's really one of the most magical times of the year for South Florida. And just to be a part of this iconic brand new concept from Hard Rock, where like they're transforming themselves into this like winter wonderland escape for like anybody just to come and just to have our organization there with like, you know, as a part of it, just being like the singing part and the entertainment is incredible. So I can't speak highly enough about Seminole Hard Rock. Eric Eldridge, Susan Renison, and all the gang there. Thank you so much. They're our Amplified season sponsor, and I can't say any more.
Well, Edward, I had it on good authority that there was going to be some, I don't know, sexy Santa or reindeers. Can you expand on that?
Yes, at Holiday Sleigh Ride. You missed out, kid.
I did.
That's all right. We'll get you in the next one.
Well, get me next year.
At Holiday Sleigh Ride, we're going to do a lot of fun campy things. You know, you'll definitely see some drag queens. You'll see a lot of big sexy Santas dancing.
Yes.
We're going to be doing some renditions like Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out for a Hero, the Christmas version. I mean, can you imagine, right? I can't wait to see this. So yeah, it's just going to be over the top and it's sensational. But, you know, it's amazing. We also do our performance at Sunshine Cathedral as well. And that's a little more of a traditional concert that we do, but it is sold out now. So unfortunately, that Carols by Candlelight is gone, but definitely check out for tickets for Holiday Sleigh Ride on December 9th and get them at our website, gmcsf.org.
I'm excited. I'm super excited. I love everything Christmas. I love that the Hard Rock Casino is super supportive of our community. I've been to a lot of events there over the years, and I especially appreciate that the Seminole tribe is supportive of our community as well.
Yeah, it's just so wonderful to getting all those connections.
Amen to that. Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Hollywood, on November 29th and December 9th.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, JC. He is a board member of Forward Miami, a nonprofit organization working to unite South Florida's diverse community in order to advance progress and unify diverse South Florida communities through civic engagement, cultural programming, and education in order to prosper. JC, I hear that the Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts is actually bringing Holiday Fantasia 2025 on December 7th. So can you tell me what's happening out?
I can. Sunshine Cathedral Center for Performing Arts proudly presents Holiday Fantasia 2025, an enchanting evening of festive brilliance on Sunday, December 7th, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., with doors opening at 4:30 p.m. Hosted by American Idol alum Matthew Darren and the incomparable Varla Jean Merman. The spirited celebration fills the Sunshine Cathedral with twinkling lights, dynamic vocals, and dazzling performances, including maybe one from myself. Featuring top South Florida talent, the evening invites audiences into a world of holiday wonder, nostalgia, and joy. Benefiting SunServe and AHF, Holiday Fantasia blends heart, diversity, and community spirit. More details on sunshinecathedral.org. You know, I don't want to say I begged, but this is like 2-3 years in already that they've had Holiday Fantasia, and I'm finally in the cast. It took Matthew some coming to Jesus moments. Maybe he saw the light and finally put me in the cast, so I'm very excited. And it's going to include, you know, some of the best performers here on the drive, including Brian and Natasha and Elle and so many more. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. It's been obviously a hit for the last 3 years. I think we're going on 3 years, and there's going to be some sexy Santas there too. So hopefully you guys can go. And maybe not Santas. I don't want to give too much away, but there's definitely going to be some tops off.
Well, I love a combo. So I love drag queens. I love American Idol. So you got me right there. I'll get my tickets. And it's just going to be really amazing because I love what the Sunshine Cathedral does during the Christmas season. Christmas is my favorite season. So I grew up in Texas. Everything's freaking Christmas at Christmas time. So definitely they've got me for this one.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we get to tap into a lot of our local talent.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? It's so important to showcase, all of the wonderful talent we have here, and to have also Varla Jean Merman. I
Yes,
remember
exactly.
seeing her, the first time I think I've seen Varla Jean perform, it was probably in Provincetown, maybe like 20, 25 years ago. And I thought, wow, this drag queen is hilarious.
Oh my God,
and I
yeah.
don't ever remember laughing so hard. And then like when I moved to Florida and then I realized, oh, she's part of the community down here too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that you're going to have a wonderful time.
And super sweet person. And everyone, that's what we've been in rehearsals now for the last 2 weeks. And everyone is so kind and so uplifting, and it's a nice group to be a part of. So sure, it's fun to sing and everything, but supporting this group of people would mean a lot to us, especially that they're, singing their shoulda, coulda, wouldas on the streets of the drive. And hopefully you can support them. It would be really nice for you to show some love, especially for the Sunshine Cathedral, who's doing great things for our community, for many years now.
Sunshine's awesome. Love Sunshine. Listen, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Holiday Fantasia 2025 on December 7th.
I'm JC. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Stonewall Museum hosts Brian McNaught for powerful live conversation on faith and LGBTQ plus identity. Stonewall National Museum Archives and Library in Fort Lauderdale is spotlighting the intersection of faith and LGBTQ plus identity with a special live conversation on December 8th featuring acclaimed author and advocate Brian McNaught. Best known for his memoir, A Prince of a Boy, How One Gay Catholic Helped Change the World. McNaught brings decades of global work on compassion, equality, and spiritual reconciliation. His journey began with what he describes as a painful turning point, being dismissed as an altar boy because he was gay. The moment, however, sparked a lifelong mission of outreach that has taken him to churches, offices, and campuses across Mumbai, Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong, the UK, and North America. His message is clear. Faith and LGBTQ plus identity not only can coexist, but can strengthen one another. According to Robert Keston, Stonewall National Museum's president and CEO, as a community, this is a quote, as a community, we often view religion and sexual orientation as two separate entities, with many of us even viewing the former as an enemy due to how it's been used to stifle LGBTQ plus stories and happiness. McNaught's appearance are a perfect example of how these aspects of our lives can intersect, paving the way for better equality. End quote. A conversation with Brian McNaught takes place on Monday, December 8th at 6 p.m. at Stonewall National Museum featuring Fort Lauderdale. Admission is free, and for RSVP, you can reach Monique at stonewall-museum.org. Now, maybe you can speak to this coming from Texas, but I grew up Catholic. I was baptized, communed, confirmed, and then I ran away from it.
Right.
So I love this conversation because as much as I don't need religion anymore, I have a lot of friends who will definitely love to have this conversation because it's something they don't want to run away from.
Right.
It's something that they need in their lives that it's not nostalgia. It's like that they need to reconcile with because it's what was instilled in them. And sometimes it's hard to get your mind to pull away from what you know and what you love, and then your church telling you that you're essentially going to hell, So I love this conversation. I think it's going to be great to have, but maybe you can speak more on it. Coming from Texas, I know it's a big,
it's
church.
Huge.
Yeah.
We're literally sitting on the property of Sunshine Cathedral.
Yeah.
Which is why this news piece is exactly why this church and this property has existed for many, many years. Being a metaphysical minister myself, I was ordained many years ago, and I struggled with my sexuality. I used to pray that I would wake up straight. Isn't that awful to say? I remember that. And I would cry myself to sleep. And it just breaks my heart that there are still people in the world, a lot of queer people in the world that are under religious oppression. And I think this news piece really speaks to the fact that there are people willing to stand up and speak on the issue in the world, to bring it forward, to shine it, to share it. It means the world to me. God don't make no mistakes. And my sexuality has nothing to do with religious doctrine. That is my opinion.
That's great. Religion is confusing enough. And,
Yes.
growing up myself,
It's meant to be.
during, those formative years when you're becoming a teenager for me, and also dealing with my sexuality and stuff. It just got so complicated. So I understand why so many of us kind of turned our back to these type of, these type of religions, I would say. But, it's amazing now that we have now such people coming forward to share their stories and just kind of like getting us to relate to one another, because, I don't know if people kind of experience, like I didn't know that of you, like what you experienced from, growing up. So, that gives commonality and gives more of a voice to this. So I look forward.
Yeah, I mean, I do. And I wonder if people will go back to the church. I wonder if we speak on it in a way that will entice people to go seek God again, or go seek maybe a higher power that they can pray to, that will give them some peace, some solace, some understanding that we just have to be good people in the world. I don't know that this is going to work. I just love that they're having this conversation.
Well, I think people are, as we know, a lot of people are leaving churches and religion, but they're seeking spirituality. I think it's just an innate part of what I believe to be our soul, really just kind of rising up and recognizing that we are more than these human bodies. And so that's why we have so many media news pieces and TV shows and events that are really spiritually oriented. So I'm totally excited to see where humanity goes in the future around religion, spirituality.
Especially in this political climate, right? Because they keep using religion against you, and they tie it to a party.
They've always used it against us. Yeah, they're very adept at doing that, right?
They really
beat us with the Bible, right?
They really are. And it's not, they really are. I remember, I'm just thinking of my grandmother beating me up with the Bible.
I'm Kevin Lee, and let's queer up trans rights. Transgender Day of Remembrance Pride Center hosts Vigil for victims of anti-trans violence. Thursday was a very important and somber day for the LGBTQ+ community, Transgender Day of Remembrance. A terrible record occurred in the last year as 71 trans people died from violence simply for living openly and authentically. The Pride Center in Wilton Manors held an event to remember them. Out South Florida reporter and Queer News Tonight special correspondent John Hayden was there and filed this report.
Sia's words empowering, and angelic Kimberly Venom inspiring. It was all part of Transgender Day of Remembrance at the Pride Center, a moment to mourn the loss of 71 trans people who died over the past year simply for living authentically and openly. The community gathered to say the names of those and confront a truth that has come into sharp focus over the past year. We must support each other because society will not.
But it is unfortunately very, very true. So when you live in a society, in a world, in a culture that produces shame and stigma and inflicts it on the transgender individual, unfortunately the people that love us the most are also getting stigmatized and getting shamed. Wait, you're loving and supporting that? So my husband, for example, is a straight man, and there are situations that he has become very uncomfortable in because people start to question my identity and my authenticity as a human, and why he, as a straight man, would be attracted to somebody like me and or date and or marry me.
The statistics are disturbing. Nearly half of the deaths were from suicide. Another 20% the result of domestic violence.
I stand before you here today at 50 years old.
The life expectancy of a trans woman is 50 years old. Organizer Adriana Tender proudly and defiantly now exceeds that grim marker.
There were countless moments of pain, challenges, and sacrifice, but I would not erase any of them because each part of my journey shaped me to be the woman that I stand here before you today.
A somber event, but there's joy in the solidarity. The joy is in the community coming together and saying, we are not going to give up. We are not going to quit. We are not going to forget our trans brothers and sisters. And there's a certain thing that just sort of fills your heart when you look at it that way. At the Pride Center in Wilton Manors, I'm John Hayden.
You know, I really think, you guys, we need to, as a community, really need to speak more about the trans community experiencing these issues. I don't think they get enough media coverage. I don't think it's reported enough in communities, especially around the world, even here in South Florida. And what I think is that the number 71 is underreported Most likely, it is probably twice as high, but it's just that because of misgendering and really the authorities not reporting it properly on a state level, on a local level, I think that's one of the biggest issues. And I think it's done, unfortunately, maliciously, in a way to put us down, to make our trans community and all of our friends really invisible. It's a way to really just wipe us out, if you want to say it that way.
I'm so glad I saw John Hayden there, because he really captures a lot of what you're seeing, and it's such an important part of our community, to recognize the transgender individuals that are currently here and those that have, gone before. I'm so happy to see Ariana on there and Misty Eyes lending their voices as well. And, the Pride Center is so wonderful. The Gay Men's Chorus offices are there, and the Trans Inclusive Group office there, AHF. And it's so wonderful that we have a space like this for community
We're
to
lucky
come
to have
together
that.
and to do things like this.
Very lucky.
Yeah, I think Misty makes a great point. We put these labels on people, and then we polarize them and we shame them for having a trans friend or family member or partner.
Exactly.
It's wild to me that we have to create a label to then create fear and mock them and then create this divisiveness. I mean, shout out to Misty, but in my household, that would create a rift. That would make me furious if my partner felt any type of way because of some influence he had from what society told him to feel. And that is sad to me. And the reason I think that they're not on the map as much is because there aren't many people who have trans people in their lives. Right. They're so small in numbers. It's hard to have a friend, a close friend, that you know them on a deeper level to be able to feel and empathize with them. And so it's hard to figure out what path we need to next. But that event that they had looked so small in numbers.
Yes.
It's wild to me that I didn't even hear about it. And so if we don't have the advertising or the budgets or the voices to let it be known that these people need to be remembered, how are we going to show up for them? And it's just chicken or the egg. It's like, what steps do we, I'm always lost. We report on these. I mean, I've been here for a number of years already. And every time I'm here, we have a transgender segment. We have a moment to speak for them. And I'm still repeating the same stories.
Right.
And so nothing has changed. And I just don't know how to get there. And it's sad to me that Misty brought up a great point that it's even happening in her own home with her own lover, and
what I thought was a little heartbreaking was the fact that there's domestic violence as a major consideration for these deaths, and there's also suicide. I mean, our community does not need to be snuffing itself out over these issues, but it's because of external forces, and maybe that means we need to really pour some focus into really in mental health and supporting our community with mental health and learning to love ourselves more and learning to celebrate ourselves because others are not rushing to celebrate us.
No.
Agreed. I'm Edward Otto Zielke, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida Executive Director Mark B. Kent to retire after 12 years of transformative leadership. GMCSF announced that Executive Director Mark B. Kent will retire on December 31st, 2026, marking the end of a remarkable 12-year tenure. Since joining in 2015, Kent has helped shape GMCSF into a major regional arts institution and a national voice in LGBTQ+ choral music. Under his leadership, the organization expanded its budget to more than $1.5 million, doubled its singing membership, and now reaches over 35,000 audience members annually. Ken says that timing is based on his personal desire to retire, noting he's ready to, quote, step back and enjoy the next chapter of his life, end quote. After decades of nonprofit arts leadership, GMCSF leaders say that the organization is financially strong and well-positioned for the transition. A nationwide search for the next executive director begins in January 2026. Board Chair Kerry Waldy says the goal is to ensure a seamless shift. And I also asked her a couple of quotes from them too. Kerry also said that thanks to Mark's stewardship, the chorus is in a very strong position artistically, organizationally and financially, making it now an optimal time to pass the baton to new leadership. And, also, I reflect upon my own journey with Mark in this. I've been with the organization now. I'm going into my 5th season. And I came to know Mark prior to joining the chorus as the director of marketing. And, when I think of Mark Kent, I think of somebody that lives his life with passion and authenticity and wants the greatness from everybody to shine. And he amplifies that, and he gives that example, in the leaderships that he gives, and he inspires so many people. And, he's going to be sorely missed in our organization, but we're in a really good spot right now, like he said, and I can attest to that. When he started, the budget was maybe about $500,000. So, he's tripled it.
Yeah.
In
incredible.
10 years that he's been there. So it's just growing and growing. And it's a testament to really, what one man can do.
Yeah. Well, I joined the chorus recently. I think it's been a year now, and I can't speak to him personally, but I will say, just seeing the infrastructure, seeing the members that he's brought on and how it's laid out to be able to function seamlessly is pretty impressive. I mean, coming from other nonprofits that I've been a part of, this seems to be like a well-oiled rig. It's moving so fast and so well. I mean, there's a section leader. I mean, there's cultural advisors. There's people that welcome you. There's so much to it. There's so many arms moving that every part of the business is handled, and it's handled by the right person. And obviously, that's a testament to his leadership. Yeah,
that's clearly a true leader. And what I like is that this gentleman, I've never met him, but I've actually heard of him over the years since I've been here in the last many years in Florida. But what I like especially is that he's brought gay men's chorus to the world literally. And I like the fact that the work that he does is really, in a sense, advocacy work, but it's advocacy through voice. Voice and song. Brilliant. I think he's living his life purpose. If he wasn't living his life purpose through the Gay Men's Chorus, he would not have been able to get through all the challenges, because the challenges will knock you down, take the wind out of your sail, and he clearly has built a ship that's going to continue to sail forwards into the world. So I'm excited to see what evolves.
Yeah, he's so connected with so many different organizations here in the community. His husband, Kevin, is part of the board of the Bears of South Florida. So we established a wonderful relationship with that.
Yes.
And he was the one that went to Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino 9 years ago and met with Susan Renison and said, what can you do to help us with our chorus? How can you help us take us to the next level? And it's his vision to, go and just go beyond the limitations of what we have. And, our season is so exciting right now because we're taking on another big project coming up for Pride. Our Pride concert is centered around the title called Invincible. And it's about there's going to be a piece that's being written for the 49 lives that were lost at the Pulse nightclub.
Awesome.
And so, we knew that, Gabe, the artistic director, and Mark knew that this was something we needed to bring to the community, especially for the 10th anniversary coming up in June.
Yeah,
so
it's ideas like that are being brought to the table and that he's able to bring to life and help, and transform a whole community that way.
Wow. Yeah, and it's also reimagined other possibilities for other organizations. I mean, just speaking on, Hard Rock, I mean, it was because of that move that other people are now able to use Hard Rock as a sponsor in some capacity, whether small or large. But the things that have happened just recently with other organizations is because of that move. So it's kind of a special
Once
leader.
Again, he's a leader.
Yeah.
What an amazing leader.
I'm JC, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Transgender TikTok star Gerlalala killed in Florida. Community demands justice. A beloved transgender TikTok creator known as Gerlalala was fatally shot Friday night in Florida, sending shockwaves through LGBTQ communities nationwide. Broward County deputies say the assailant was her boyfriend, who was arrested at the scene. Newly released 911 recordings captured a man pleading for help moments after the shooting, underscoring the terror and heartbreak of the incident. Video from a nearby Tesla reported showed Gerlalala trying to exit a car before being pulled back inside, just moments before multiple gunshots rang out. Neighbors described hearing commotion and gunfire late that night. With nearly 300,000 TikTok followers and more than 40,000 on Instagram, Gerlalala was known for her creativity, wigs, and bold style, work that inspired countless queer youth. Her fans and fellow creators have flooded social media with grief, outrage, and calls for justice. Advocacy groups note that transgender women of color continue to face disproportionate levels of violence in the United States. Vigils online and across Florida are honoring Gerlalala's life and urging systemic change. As the investigation continues, supporters call for accountability and for her legacy of authenticity and joy to endure. Here's another story, right? We continue to report on these stories, and it continues to happen. And we're always thinking of what we need to do next to not have to report on these stories. And I think in this situation, and I'm not, I don't know any better, but obviously I needed to look up Gerlalala, and just in her TikTok, there were signs of domestic violence. There were signs of her putting herself in a situation that she could have gotten away from, and now it's too late. And I think we need to teach ourselves to see these signs, to find the oppression and run away from it. And unfortunately, I think it is systemic. I think, just from my experiences as well, and from seeing it from the outside, there's a post that she made that she was almost bragging about a fight that she had with her boyfriend. She had a bloody nose and she had a cut in her eye, and she was like, yeah, we fought last night. And it was like almost as if it was nothing to her. And I know that feeling. I know when my parents used to fight, it became normal, right, until someone said this is not normal. And I think that kind of repeating of like in history, you're repeating that, and it comes from your parents and their grandparents, and you seeing, I don't know her story, but you're seeing this. Maybe she thought this was normal, and then now it's too late, and it's hard to read.
Once again, we're going back to domestic violence issues in the queer community. I think we don't take that seriously in our community. We don't talk about it a lot. It's not something you speak about at parties. You don't really typically see it in the news. It breaks my heart that another person of color has been extinguished from the earth. And really this beautiful human candle, if I can call her that, she shined so bright. But what my grandmother used to say to me, which is a little funny, but I'll say this. She would say to me, darling, the brighter your light, the more bugs will come at you. And in Texas, when you turn on a light bulb, all those friggin' bugs will swarm. And it's really true. I've seen it in my own career where people came at me, the more success I had, because of my age, because of my titles, because of whatever I was doing that they didn't like. It seemed to somehow trigger something in them. Them. So,
it's sad, here we have another talented, individual snuffed out of her life now. Right. And, we're left like wondering, what could have been done, where were the resources? But what I can't get used to, and I'm sorry, maybe I'm going to, maybe age myself a little bit here, but how is it that we're normalizing these type of behaviors on video and on TikTok? Right. Why are we seeing this and not acting? If there's an act of violence, and if she's sharing about it and these followers are commenting, like, what is happening here?
And I'm sure they were like, girl, run, what are you doing? Yeah. But you feed off of that, right? I mean, as a micro influencer myself, and going viral is a drug. When people start commenting, whether it's good or the bad, you feed off of it, and you're like, I'm getting known. I'm like, this is an opportunity for me. With that comes brand deals. Right. People start throwing money at you. So maybe she thought that it was an opportunity for her, right? And then what happens is it creates jealousy within the household, because now she's the name, and the boyfriend is not, and that creates this jealousy within the partnership.
Very good point.
And who knows what they were fighting about? Maybe that could have been it as well. And it's just crazy that she would put it on social and feed off of it.
Yeah, I think we just need resources that guide people, or people that transition and that want to have careers like this, how to go about it properly, because you're dealing with a lot as a young person, trying to find your own identity and then wanting to make your mark and then wanting to do all of that. So sometimes you're not making the best decisions in your life. Sometimes you need to have good resources, and that's where it starts. It's like some of these organizations need to offer these type of resources.
I think she was like, 24 or something? She
Very
was
young, very
super young. It's hard to make a sound decision.
And you become famous somewhat, and then you rely on people around you to tell you exactly how you should be acting and how you should do. And it goes against the way that you believe. So it's inner turmoil. It's
luckily we do have organizations in South Florida like Trans Social down in Miami. I know that Morgan Mayfair and the team, they do a great job. I've supported them over the last few years, and they do work on mental health. They do work on so many areas. I can't even list them all. They're actually doing a great job for
also
helping.
up here in Wilton Manor, SunServe and AIDS Healthcare.
Absolutely.
Foundation, they're all for mental health.
Sure, but how do they recognize that? And that's what I mean. Is chicken or the egg, right? Let's get to the person first before they have to think of that decision to make. Right. And I don't think she must have seen the abuse. I don't think she must have seen that this was not a comfortable situation or a sound situation to be in. One day.
I'm Kevin Lee, and let's queer up the worldview. New Zealand bans puberty blockers as far-right party claims war on woke win. New Zealand announced an indefinite ban on puberty blockers for transgender youth hours after a far-right coalition partner claimed victory in what is it called a, quote, war on woke, end quote. New Zealand First, a minority party known for opposing trans rights, released a surprise statement 3 hours before the government's own announcement. It said, quote, "Today, sanity won another battle in the war on woke. After years of dangerous ideological experimentation, pushed by radical activists and rubber-stamped by the weak politicians, the New Zealand government has officially banned puberty blockers for children. This is what happens when you back a party that actually delivers. While other parties can't even define what a woman is, we've stood up for families, for truth, and for children," end quote. The ban places New Zealand alongside a growing list of countries and U.S. states restricting gender-affirming care for youth. Health Minister Simeon Brown called the move, quote, "a precautionary approach," end quote, citing a lack of high-quality evidence on puberty blockers, risks, and benefits. The ban takes effect on December 19th. Well, gender is a spectrum. It's not one or the other, as we know. And from my research, my background as a nurse anesthetist, and I've been in healthcare for 35 years. I know that I love the Cleveland Clinic, so I've actually done a little research. And what they talked about was that 1 in 2,000 births cannot be identified typically, visually, right, as male or female. So they call that intersex. So it's ambiguous genitalia. And it's definitely confusing. And there are other studies out there that say that 2 in 100 births, which would be 2%, are also ambiguous. So we have a lot of intersex taking place. There's a spectrum of gender, so we cannot continue to say, it just is ridiculous to me, quite honestly, if people are out there saying that there is one or the other gender when medically there's ambiguity. So it just kind of blows my mind that people can keep saying that.
Yeah, this is the thing about the world that I fucking can't stand. Is when they make you feel like you are deformed, or when they make you feel like you are woke, when the word woke originally was that you were just informed, you were well informed, and you woke up the day and you said, I'm woke about this part of the world. I am informed. But they use the word against you, and they create now this issue that wasn't an issue to begin with, and now becomes a world global problem. And it really, really pisses me off, because now they did this about gender. It wasn't an issue. It really isn't an issue, but you're making it one. Right. And now I'm the problem. That bothers me about this world.
Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is it is physicians who are making the decision to identify that child at birth, whether they're male or female. And so if it's ambiguous, who are you to decide my gender? Who are you to not put me through the testing to identify my chromosomal representation as biologically? And you know what? If you're going to identify me as male or female, don't you dare come at me later in life if I identify that I need to have gender-affirming care to correct your mistakes. I think that's medical malpractice, quite honestly.
I think about, some of the people that I know that have children that, have gone through this type of transition themselves. And, I see them as the most vibrant, healthy children because they're getting to be who they really were meant to be.
Yes.
And there's always like a freedom with it. And granted, my experience with this is very few. I can count maybe a little on the one hand of how many I know about it. But what are we really talking about? About the whole population. We're talking about a small little group of people.
That's my point.
That are just wanting to be authentically who they are on the outside.
Yeah.
And we're making it, like you said, into a big, big problem because everybody's now going to want to do it. And that's not what it's about.
Right.
We're not saying that every child wants the desire to do this. It's just, listening to the children when they're smaller and saying, you know what, maybe there's a situation here we need to discuss with proper people that have dealt with this. And that's what it's about. Finding a network of people that will work together with doctors and therapists, for these types of children because they are there.
Right.
It's just getting harder and harder.
Yeah, and then they'll use it as a talking point to get elected, create a problem and show fear.
Exactly.
And then now you've just divided half the population and now you're bringing them on your side for the sake of a vote. Let me tell you something. My cousin, Christy Mena, shout out to Christy Mena, she's a licensed therapist. She specializes in trans youth. She tells me the problem is never the child. It is always the parent. When she sits and has a conversation with the child, it's completely normal and of sound mind. When she gets to the conversation with the parent is distraught, super toxic, and unable to vocalize what needs to be said to a child to comfort them in this situation.
Beautiful.
So she has to do it. And so it's, for me, it's the instilled and the behavior that you've learned from your parents that is now a problem, not the child who is pure and knows nothing other than who they are and what they feel inside of them.
Yeah, that just took me back to when I was 6 years old and my parents took me to a therapist because they felt something was wrong with me because, I wasn't identifying with the boys. I was more identifying with females. So there was always, a little bit of that. And so, yeah, it's like, I just wanted to be heard. And ironically, you know what? I didn't draw my figures with any ears.
Huh. Interesting.
Explains a lot.
That explains a whole lot. I love that. That's great. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world view. Malaysia suspends kids' cartoon over alleged gay Peck. Malaysia's state broadcaster has suspended Santiago of the Seas after viewers claimed an episode showed Rio, a mermaid, kissing his partner Martin on the cheek. RTM said its review found, quote, no actions or displays of affection suggesting same-sex relationships, but halted the show to avoid public sensitivities, end quote. The move adds to Malaysia's crackdowns on LGBTQ visibility, from banning films to seizing pride-themed items. Islamist leaders condemned the cartoon as a serious threat to moral fabric of society, end quote. Even the critics online mocked the idea. One commenter said, quote, no one becomes gay because they saw a boy peck a boy on the cheek. Yeah, my dad kisses me. My brother kisses me. We are not having sex.
No.
And also, if a peck on the cheek was sexual, Wilt Manners will be pregnant right now. It's wild to me that people think that it could turn into anything. Like I've seen my parents kiss before, and I'm gay, bro. I've seen from a child. We saw Johnny Bravo, Pepe Le Pew, all kiss women inappropriately or without consent, and I'm still gay, bro. Like, I think you need to tone it down.
I think I've seen a few Disney movies where I think I've seen a couple of them kissing one another. Not that, of course, male and female, but, I think inanimate objects and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, what are we really talking about?
What are we?
This is just so silly. I mean, a peck on a cheek. Come on, Malaysia.
Yeah, it's just another example of religious extremist leaders. I have some very good Islamic friends, and this is just really religious extremism at its finest. And they're doing nothing but trying to instill fear and to justify their existence on the planet. So it's really pathetic. It doesn't surprise me. And here we are.
True.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA view. Texas A&M's new ban alarms LGBTQ plus students and advocates. Texas A&M has banned professors from discussing, quote, race or gender ideology, end quote, without prior presidential approval, escalating Texas's crackdown on free speech in higher education. The ACLU of Texas warned that the move is, quote, misguided, discriminatory, and an insult to academic freedom, end quote. Attorney Chloe Kempf said, quote, Texas A&M should immediately rescind its policy, end quote. The decision follows the firing of Professor Melissa McCool for noting that there are more than two genders. Amen. Students report rising harassment as universities cut LGBTQ plus programs, while state leaders claim they're fighting, quote, leftist ideologies, end quote. I went to this university for a couple of years in my undergrad until I saw the light and decided to become a nurse and moved on. And it doesn't surprise me because I won't even say what year it was, but I will say it was a long time ago, before the turn of the century. And I'll say this, it was discriminatory, it was hostile back then. You have to understand, what is Texas A&M? It stands for agricultural and mechanical. So right there you understand that you have middle America, you have rural communities that are drawn to this university, and there is a military presence on the campus. So we have the Corps of Cadets. So there, once again, you have more of this machismo, this rural, heterosexual, normative, Christian, dominant organization on campus, and I never felt safe on campus. And it's really a shame that these professors who are speaking truth are being really fired and cut out. So once again, invisibility is being put forward, and they just don't want us to exist. I think Texas is really doing a disservice to our community because they're creating a culture of cancel. And they're promoting discrimination. They give people permission to be vile, inappropriate, and hostile to our community.
And they're stopping them right there with the education.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you're right there at the college where you're just saying, you know, we don't want to promote this. We don't want to see this. Because it's trickling down into the high schools and the grade schools. We can't even have, books there to show that we're LGBTQ.
Right.
So, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, especially in the state of Texas, obviously a red state, and it's kind of a trickle-down effect, like you said.
Very
I think,
much.
They were talking about, what was the quote, educational freedom or academic freedom? You may not have that, all right? There's always a curriculum you have to follow, but you do have freedom of choice still, and you can not go to that school. You can maybe put your money somewhere else.
Yeah, there's some wonderful schools in Texas that are very queer friendly, and I just say do your homework and find communities that support you and help you shine your light.
You know what's interesting? You say that, like it's interesting. You're not saying run from Texas. Like you see the difference between us and them.
I love my state. They're crazy.
Stay in the state. Just go to a different school. They would have said, "Get the fuck out of our state."
Well,
Right.
because we know better. Because we're also living in a red state here too.
Yes,
and
we
we
are.
know that there are spaces for us.
Yeah.
Like there are in Texas.
Yes.
There's Dallas, there's Houston,
Yes, there
there's there are so many welcoming cities and
Yes.
communities
Yes.
for us. You just have to go and find them.
Yes, amen to that.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world. View. Russia convicts dead LGBTQ travel agent in escalating crackdown. A Moscow court on Friday found LGBTQ traveler agent guilty of extremism. Andrei Kotov, 48, ran Men Travel, had told in the court in 2024, 15 people came to me at night, beat me, were punching me in the face. Russia suggests that he died by suicide. Rights groups say authorities pursued a show trial to intimidate queer people. The ruling follows Russia's 2023 ban on the international social LGBTQ movement, which Human Rights Watch said had ignited several arbitrary prosecutions. Well, this is sad just to see another person just trying to create community space for us in another country, and they just get silenced for it. It's scary. It's echoing in other countries as we're seeing, and it's like, This is what we need to be pushing back against.
Exactly. You know, this is a communist nation that this gentleman was willing to put his life on the line. He knew the consequences of standing up, literally showing up and shining. And he was just trying to create queer space. Unfortunately, because it's a communist nation, it's incredibly risky. You're putting your life on the line. And unfortunately, he's paid the price. But part of me, from a spiritual perspective, I just have to just lift him up in prayer, because this gentleman was willing to stand up for something that many of us may not have been willing to stand up for. So I just celebrate what his soul has done. I celebrate his name, his memory, and this story breaks my heart.
It does break my heart. I think celebrating him is difficult for me to say. Like, you're not a martyr. Like, what is it that you were trying to do? I don't think you were even in the same lane to be able to fulfill anything other than where you ended up. Because you're right, it is a communist country, and I know to stay the fuck away from that country.
Amen.
So having a travel agency like luring us in to Russia is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I don't want to say, I'm going to sound so bad, they're going to cancel me. I do feel bad, but it was insane to think that you were going to make a difference in a place like Russia.
They monitor everything.
Yeah.
They monitor travel, everything. They know exactly who's doing what when.
Yeah.
And so for him to have that's a great point, to have a travel agency for the gay community to travel, to visit, to congregate. It's like a beacon on a map. You're literally a target.
Yeah, I think you said that better than I did. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Trans Pride takes the carpet. Pattie, Gonia, and SJ Joslin reclaim Yosemite flag at Out 100. At the recent Out 100 celebration, drag star Pattie Gonia and trans icon SJ Joslin turned the red carpet into a moment of resistance and pride, arriving draped in a massive trans flag once unfurled over Yosemite's El Capitan. SJ was fired after unfurling the flag at Yosemite. Their appearance at the event continued to message that trans people aren't going anywhere. End quote. Continuing LGBTQ plus viewers are the community faces escalating attacks nationwide. Read more about this story at out.com. I remember when they were fired. I don't know the context. I think that they were trying to make a statement, but I'm glad they did it now the right way, if that makes sense. I think this makes more sense to me. This brings up an opportunity for discussion versus a fight over whether they were, fired for the right reasons. I think good on them. I love this story.
Brilliant publicity for your brand, SJ Joslin, if I said that correctly. And I just want to say, keep shining for trans rights, because I love the way you're showing up.
Yes, these are the type of stories that we need to see uplift the community. This is showing progress. So yes, hats off to it.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Taylor Zakar Perez sends fans into a frenzy with Miami shirtless pics. Taylor Zakar Perez is once again feeding his fans a buffet, and the internet can't get enough. After going viral at the end of the summer for his steamy vacay pics, the star is now living it up in Miami, and people are going wild over every photo circulating on social media. Naturally, fans started swooning over his shirtless photos on the beach. The images have LGBTQ viewers buzzing, reminding everyone why Perez remains one of the community's favorite heartthrobs. Let's take a look. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm from Texas, and I love me some Latin food. This is a Latin buffet for me. I'm very happy. I'd like to find out where this is being served, especially since he's in South Florida. I think it's wonderful. At least he's showing up and shining in his beautiful way. I don't know, actually. Is he gay, or is he straight? What does he identify as?
I don't know, but he was in a gay series,
right,
or a short series, and then he's also in a feminist, I guess, series, a feminist magazine series, where he shows his junk. Okay, he doesn't show his junk. There's a prosthetic, but you can imagine. Can imagine that it was, and that was all that I needed. But can you bring back the pictures? I wanted to see that That one picture. He knew what he would. Look at this. He meant to do this. You knew what the fuck you were doing, sir.
You knew that photographer.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is a model.
This reminds me of in the 90s when I used to see JFK Jr. being running around.
Oh,
and
yes.
And like the paparazzi would take all these photos and stuff, and that's kind of reminiscent of what we're seeing here. He's gorgeous, you know, and why not take photos of him? So yes. Take the opportunity.
Keep shining, boy.
Yes.
That is an LGBTQ 1-minute news story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, JC, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Kevin Lee and Edward Otto Zielke. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. into our LGBTQ+ world. We wish you a good night.